First of all, ladies, let me tell you, you guys were fantastic in this movie.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Linda, my question's for you first. What did you know about Llorona, and what do you know about her now?
I didn't know anything. Is this working? Hello? Is this thing on? I didn't know anything about her, which was great because my character doesn't know anything about her. And that's actually what dooms her. It's what creates the terror is her ignorance of everything that Patricia knows about. I walk into this situation thinking that I'm doing something good for her. And in fact, I doom her family, and my own family. So it's her ignorance that causes the horror for her. I didn't know about La Llorona, and then I asked some of my friends and some people in my life, and they were like, "Oh God, why are you saying that? Why are you talking about her?" And then I realized how important she was, and how old the tale was, because a lot of people would say, "Oh, my grandmother told me that," and then her mother told her that, and it would just seem to go back generations and generations. And then as I looked, I of course Googled La Llorona, and the imagery that I saw that had been created, all the art that had been created, was totally familiar to me. So I thought, well, here it is. I've been seeing her all along as a kid, being afraid of this sort of veiled figure or this weeping woman, and didn't realize that that's who she was. So that made me sort of excited about telling a story for people who hadn't seen her up on the real screen, who knew, the big screen, who knew of her, but also for people like me who didn't know anything about her, introducing her in a way that's something that is somehow familiar and terrifying, and defining that for people.
Yeah, terrifying is a good word.
Yeah. Oh, good. I hate to be happy at you being terrified, but that's sort of what we're after.
Did either of you have anything that happened on the set? Because we were talking to Ray and his bracelet broke during a scene. Did you guys have any supernatural or things that you felt happened?
Yeah, we all did. But first, I have to say, you guys are the most fun group we've had. It's so cool. Yeah, we all had energy. I mean, I grew up with La Llorona. We believe in her. She's an entity. She's not a story. And I was just telling that before, sometimes I start a project, you write this little prayer right before you go to bed. And you just write, "Dear inner self, if it is your will, please reveal to me in a dream tonight the struggle of the character of, in this case, Patricia, in the project of The Curse of La Llorona, so I can get closer to you." And then you go, "With love and respect," you sign it, you put your name and the time, and you go to bed. So that's what I did the night before. And then in the middle of the night, I got woken up by this horrible, it was a scream, but a cry, but I cannot. Wow. It was the most horrible thing I've ever heard. And I stormed out of bed to get my daughter. I thought she was something. It was. So I hit myself on the shoulder with the door, and then I trip as I'm walking into, and I fall on my knee. And it was the bump from the floor that woke my daughter up, and she goes, "Mama?" And I'm literally in my knees, and I go, "Are you cold?" And she says, "No, would you lay here with me?" So I'm like limping, go to her, and I'm pushing the sheet up, because I felt that I was bleeding.
Wow.
The minute she went to sleep, I rushed to my room. I'm shaking, thinking, what the heck was that? This was the most, how can your brain produce I thought I produced it in my dream, that it was and I'm cleaning my knee in the edge of my bed, and then I looked at the note. It was right there. And I thought, oh my God, that was her. That was her. I heard her. And now, but you know what? So and we were just talking about this. Somehow it calmed me down. Somehow it's like, oh, I get it. Now I understand the pain of La Llorona. How far are you willing to go to protect your children? Mm-hmm. Which is what I did.
That's
and I went to
crazy.
work the next day. And that's how, but it was, I felt like it was organic. So anyway, do that prayer.
Definitely.
First of all, both of you ladies did a fantastic job in your roles. And I know, Linda, this is like your first horror film.
I think I did like a peripheral role in one very early in my career, but I haven't really ever taken on, a role like this in this kind of film.
So with that being said, I mean, you're in the footsteps now of like Linda Blair and all these other...
The other famous Linda.
Yes, the other famous Linda. And just like being in that like category of like horror scream queens, like how does it feel now to be like, now you're one of us? of one
I
of
love
them.
it. I think
Yeah.
it's great. I think so many wonderful actors and actresses have been in horror movies all along, and I think if you're in a great horror movie, or if you see a great horror movie, you don't forget it. For me, growing up, I never forgot Jaws. I never forgot Freddy Krueger. Still can give me a nightmare and I think that they affect you. I love that about horror, and also I love that horror has great roles for females.
Yes.
And this film is about three mothers. It's not just about me. It's not just about it's about my relationship as a mother, her relationship as a mother, and La Llorona, who is a mother, and how we deal with our grief and the terror and the rage and the fear. And so to me, and also Janie leaned, her part as the young girl, there's 4 female roles that are hefty in there. And usually when you're sitting on a panel talking about a movie, it'll be, 4 men and 1 or 2 women. And so for me, I thought that was something I really enjoyed about this and this genre in general.
Love it.
I had a question for both of you. So when filming this horror film, how did you guys get past like going to sleep at night after those scenes? Because last night after I watched it in my hotel room, I heard tapping and I could not sleep at all. And like, I was just watching it. You guys have to act it at go on set every day. How do you guys get back home, sleep soundly? Like, I don't know how you guys do that.
I don't know that I sleep soundly that much anyway, but we were exhausted. I mean, I didn't realize going into, I had never done a role like this, so I didn't realize how actually athletic and physical it is. You're running, you're screaming, you're jumping, you're swatting, you're hitting, you're getting choked, you're falling, you're getting thrown against walls. I mean, all these things. I'm in a pool. All these things that you do, they're incredibly physical, on top of the fact that you're yelling and screaming and crying and begging for your life and begging for the life of others. And then, so there's a lot that you go through. And we shot in a pretty tight schedule on a pretty tight budget, even though Michael Schaub's did such a great job that it looks like a much bigger film. But we really were working hard, fast, and long nights. We did a lot of night shoots. So when you came home, you were you didn't know if it was day or night. You were exhausted, but it sort of was difficult to sleep. I think all that being said, we were pretty exhausted. And then you get up and you go to work the next day. But the exhaustion sort of helps with a movie like this because you have to be so raw. I mean, not to be too self-serious about it, but you really have to be open to everything that's going to happen. You have to be able to cry and scream and jump and, do all of those things at the drop of a hat and do them over and over again. So sometimes the exhaustion can actually help with that. And, it's not like a glamorous, movie, so you don't have to look like you've slept 20 hours.
It's so, Linda, obviously she's the lead of the film. And what I saw in her, it was so exhausting what she had to do. It's almost like you were an automatic pilot, because she was on it at all times. For me, it was a different experience. I wasn't on set, as many days. But what my experience, aside from the acting part and being connected to the emotions, was more when you get home and the scare part comes. Oh, how do you let go of La Llorona? And what I had to do every night is like, leave me alone. Don't come, because I'm making sure you look good. And it worked. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it worked. It's almost like we were allies. I'm here. I'm making you look good. I'm your Spanish ally here. You chose me, and I'm doing my job. So just let me save. And it worked.
I wanted to say both of you guys did an amazing job, because throughout the movie, I was angry with both of you at different points.
Right. As you should be.
As I should. Patricia, you were so evil to put La Llorona on her family. That was terrible. And Linda, to watch and how you're reacting, and I'm like, will you hurry up and go get the kids? What do you say? Are you going to keep looking upstairs, or are you going to run upstairs? Like, go. Like, you guys did an amazing job. But is there anything in the movie that if it was happening in your real life, you would have done a little bit differently?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I feel like also when you look back on any situation that was hectic or hard or traumatic, there's a million things that you would change in hindsight. So I think you have to give the characters that benefit of the doubt, because nobody does anything perfectly when they're face to face with a situation that they don't know how to handle. But certainly there are things like, as a mother, that I would have investigated more thoroughly. I think I wouldn't have let my kids get away with, certain things. I think, I wouldn't have let them stay in that car while I was checking out that crime scene. But that's the 70s too. You didn't have nanny. You didn't have a nanny. Her husband's gone. She's got kids in the middle of the night. She has to go there. So there's certain things too that the time period lends itself to that you wouldn't do nowadays. Nowadays you'd pick up your phone, you'd call somebody. And I think that's what's kind of nostalgic and slightly, if you could say it about this film, romantic about the 70s in it being in Los Angeles.
I don't know.
Would you lock your kids in the closet?
She was doing a good job. I messed it all up for her.
No, I mean, I guess the only thing I would think is, did I have a choice to let Linda come into my house or not? That's probably the only thing. Or why did, I would have never left her alone in that bedroom, looking and finding for that closet. My mom would have never done that. I would have been right there by her with the nail or the...
Yeah, well, you got to go get that hammer.
I got to get that hammer right there. I would have opened up the door with the hammer. Hold on a sec.
Absolutely.
So I get to be last, but hopefully not least. And I really, really enjoyed the movie. I love to go into movies with no expectations, and I thought it was amazing. It's a jumpy movie where it caught me off guard. Like, you don't expect it, and there it is, and it makes you react. And that was truly what a horror film should be. It doesn't even be about blood and guts. It needs to be about the reaction from the audience. And I think you both, as amazing actors, did just that. You made the audience react. So tell me how you prepare for a film like this, because for you, this is not something you've done before, and some of the roles you've done before have been not in this genre. Sure. So how do you prepare for something that's completely out of, or a new element in your career?
I guess for me, I don't necessarily think of approaching a job from a genre. I think you are just as truthful and as into the character as you can. And then, fortunately, in this script, in this project, when you find a director who likes collaboration in a group of people, and of course the best actress ever, then you can, you form a family. No, it's the truth. It's the truth. You form a family, and then the circumstances happen, so the result it's there. But I definitely think that Michael had a lot to do with it, even though it's his first film. He likes collaboration so much that you can bring in ideas, and then, as you were saying before, you feel valued, and everybody wants to give the best of themselves.
Well, your character was very intense, actually, in some of the scenes.
But they would have never
really
been
hard.
Yes.
She's
they were
always
very intense.
But they would have not been as
does
intense.
it so beautifully.
If it wasn't, look, when you shoot a film, you have the camera, let's say you do the close-ups, you have the cameras here and then the camera is there. And 90% of the time when the camera is here and is facing you, because circumstances, not because you don't want. If you're behind the camera, you try to give the other actor as much as you can, but it's hard sometimes. Linda never once drops that intensity, even more when she's behind the camera. So that's when you know what an incredible actor someone can be, because what that does is elevates the rest of the work of all the people. Because when she's not even in camera, and you're receiving so much, and so that's what you see on the screen, really. Yes.
You're so nice. Thank you.
I'm not
She does the same for me, though.
I won't disagree.
She did the same for me. I think Michael did a great job of putting together people that really we all enjoyed working with each other, and I think we all, as much as we gave, we got in return. For me, preparing for a role is typically the same, the way I prepare for a role. There were things that I didn't understand sort of about horror filmmaking, and some of the shots that we would do can be very visual. Right. So there were things that were that I had to get used to, and sort of there was things that I got to learn, after being in this business for as long as I've been, which is the majority of my life now.
Right, but this is an intensity level that's very different.
There were some push-ins that I had to learn, like how do I... There were just things that the camera did that I sort of had to figure out how to modulate what I was doing, and if the camera's right here and if it's coming towards you, and so all of those things were new things to me that I got to learn on this, and I got to learn with Michael, who's an incredibly visual person, and also the other Michael, who is our DP, who did great work.
And it's also like, you know, in these things that you're learning in the genre, if this is the moment when you're scared and there's a big noise, then someone would make the noise. And there's this disposition of all the set and everyone in the crew to make that happen. And that's what you see on the screen.
Well, you both look like absolute professionals that you've been doing horror since, you know, your first day in the job. So I want to tell you, I appreciate it and thought it was an amazing movie. And thank you so much for being so generous and sharing your time with us here.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. And thanks for seeing it.
Can you guys describe any of the lighthearted, funny moments on set at all? Something that maybe broke up the tension?
Oh, we had a lot of fun. We really did have a lot of fun. I mean, it was hard work. So you were in it, and, you know, we were working pretty fast. But we definitely had a lot of fun. You know, Marisol, who plays La Llorona, is hilarious. She's hilarious. She's beautiful and hilarious and a fantastic actress. Yes. And it was so wonderful for us to have her there because, you know, a lot of times I've done work where you have, you know, something that is as heightened as this character would be computer generated, and she's not. She's there. She's practical. And so it was wonderful to have her there with us. And she has such a wonderful sense of humor that she's terrifying to look at. We were talking about the neighborhood that we shot in, because we shot at a real house. The neighbors were terrified of her, and you would hear kids that would walk past her in the house. They would scream when they would see her and run away. But she was
every once in a while you would hear.
Yeah.
Why do you have the woman in white here?
Yeah, but she was so kind and so funny and so good with the kids, all of the children, because she has to literally scare them in person. She was so good with them that it made the set a really nice place to be. And she's got a tough job. She has to sit in makeup for hours and hours. She's wet a lot of the time. She's in a dress that looks really cool, but is probably not the most comfortable, you know, and she was really a good sport. And so she held us up a lot, I think, you know, I mean, held us up in terms of, propped us up a lot in terms of mood, because it could have been, you know, pretty hard for somebody else.
For me, it was so funny with Marisol too, like especially at lunchtime, because she will go get her food and sit in front of me. Come on, Marisol, I can't. Couldn't watch her.
There were their black tears. Why does nobody want to sit by me?
Look me and my tomato.
Did you guys, like, working with a first-time director, were you guys able to help him and go, oh, hey, this is how this works? I mean, did you guys help him along the way?
I think there were times where there was definitely a give and a take, you know. I think that he was really wonderful like that, because a lot of times people can come into a situation that they haven't been in before, and out of sort of that vulnerability be rigid. And he did not do that at all. He was very open. He's very collaborative. He's one of the most enthusiastic directors I've ever met. You come on set and he's got a smile for you, and very encouraging. And he also he was very happy to incorporate people's ideas. At the same time, he had a very strong vision, and he is a very visual director as well. So it was a really fun way to work. And there were times too when he's like, do you need more rehearsal on this? Do you need rehearsal by yourself? And I think we were all sort of learning as we went. And it was, you know, horror was something sort of new to me, wasn't new to him, but it was his first feature film. So I think it was a really good matchup. We were very lucky with him. He's a wonderful first-time director.
He had so much energy.
Yeah, a lot.
And so I remember the
Thank
first
God.
time. Yeah, because he was contagious. The first time I went to set, you know, it's like, we're gonna try your makeup. Sure. So we're going to he comes in, they put a little makeup, says, okay, let's go take the photos. Okay, let's go. Let's run. Okay, let's run. Okay, take the photo. Okay, let's run back. They gotta change. Okay, let's run back. Like, oh my God, what is this gonna be like? Running back and forth. I've never seen such a thing.
Patricia, your facial expressions in this film, on point. I mean, for you to emote so much evil in a character, yet at the same time, it's like, you understand you're a mother who will do whatever it takes to either get her children back, or, like in your case, Linda, protecting your children at all costs, whatever it takes. But it was like the whole time I'm like, first of all, loved you in the Mummy movies. But then, like, to see you do a role like this, it's like, holy crap, this girl you're fierce. You're like, you know, it's like, I wanted to root for you. at the same time, it's like you're supposed to be this like villainous, and then I'm like, no, back. You're using your pain as an anger, and using that fear and anger and putting onto Linda's character. I mean, the chemistry between the two of you was just so incredible. So
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Michael definitely created a really intimate set for those scenes, and Linda was willing to go through it time after time. We did quite a few takes, and I think he wanted all kinds of reactions and going and taking it in so many different directions. But again, we're moms. I mean, I don't know if you're parents, who you are. You're a parent, and you will do anything for your children. And it's almost like you don't even have to go too far in order to access those emotions. God forbid somebody will hurt my daughter. I would just that more.
Right. I mean, sorry, I'm going to cut. I know she said it's the last question, but I that was going to be my follow-up, was that I know that as parents, I have a 13-year-old, that's what really caught me, that emotion that you guys really put into it, and I believed it. I believed that you were that parent of that child in that movie, and you were there doing whatever you had to do at that moment, and it really resonated. So I respect and appreciate that, and I think the audience will too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
you
so much.
Good job.
for your time.
Good job,
Thank
ladies.
you,
Good
guys.
job.
Thank you.